remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your live market update. I hope you're well. I hope your Thursday has started good. Thank you very much for popping in today. Whether watching live on GoToWebinar, stream on YouTube, or even catch up on YouTube, you're very welcome here. Thank you for being part of this. Let's try and unpick what is yet another interesting 12 hours on markets. For those of you who popped into Inner Circle last night, it was great to see you there, of course. And a few of the things that we talked about have come to pass. A few things haven't yet because we're still in waiting. Either way, it's great to see you here, and let's find out what's going on. But as we do, of course, just a reminder that this important message is noteworthy. Please remember this is for educational purposes only. Please make sure that you do your own due diligence on anything you see. Make sure you manage risk on every trading action, and of course, please be aware that managing risk on every trading action, both entry and exit, is critical and consistent with your personal financial situation and trading objectives. Thanks for you guys who have said hello already. Thank you very much, Wayne. On the heads up on the AV. G'day, Mark. Good to see you here. Hi, Hugh. I see your AAC is doing well. And g'day, Neil. We'll look at AAC later. So let's check out some headlines, of course, as a start point. We saw the S&P 500 snap a 4-day losing streak in the US overnight. And then, so part of this was just a little buying coming back into tech. And then NVIDIA reported earnings after the bell. And as is the norm for NVIDIA, they smashed it out of the park. They're up around about 5% in after-hours trading. The whole Nasdaq's up around about 1.75%. Google's new Gemini AI also helped. One downside was the FOMC minutes pushed the likelihood of a December rate cut downwards again. But we do have big data tonight, so it all may change by this time tomorrow. Let's just check out the latest on that Fed rate. You can see there we're now only a third, and 2/3 likely to not see a rate cut to have a pause. That was fairly close to 50-50. When we before those minutes were released, you can see there. If we look 1 day ago, it was there's a 67% chance now. It's 50% yesterday. So really, yeah, really quite a radical shift. There's that 32% likelihood of a rate cut. So really, yeah, those segments of we're expected to be slightly less dovish than being the way today, and subsequently, of course, we've had some things we expected to happen. US futures are positive on that AI news, as I said. Nasdaq's up around 1.75%. Asian markets moved higher. ASX about half an hour ago, when I last had a deeper look, was over 1% to the upside. The Nikkei is doing well, and European futures pointed to a positive open. One of the key impacts of that increased doubt in a rate cut for December is that the US dollar index moved to 6-month highs. Somewhat interestingly, gold commodities weren't very impacted by that USD movement. Gold was higher despite that USD strength. Copper and oil are range bound, although oil did pull back a little bit. We'll check out charts of all of those. Bitcoin didn't see a rally in Bitcoin at all. It's still holding on by its fingernails to 90,000 support. And of course, the big data that we are potentially expecting tonight, we have got some US manufacturing, the Philly Fed manufacturing data, which is generally well thought of as a good gauge to how GDP is going. But we potentially got non-farm payrolls being released. We've got global PMI tomorrow out as well. Let's just quickly have a look at what's going on. There's those FOMC minutes. You can read there if you want to. If you go to Forex Factory and click on this, it does give you the actual minutes of the Fed Reserve. You can see, as for this morning, very little of any note. What China doing to their interest rates? Let's just do a little. Yeah, look at their interest rates as expected. German PPI might be looked at with interest. But that's too soft. That would be seen as positive. And then, as I said, let's just click on this. So we haven't had the non-farm payrolls 14 days due to the government shutdown, as you can see there. So it'd be interesting to see if we do get. So this will be the September payrolls report, and then of course we've got the October payrolls as well to have a look. If that number comes in soft, I think we'll see the light of a rate cut increase again. You can see the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index is pointing to a slightly better number than it was previously. And then tomorrow, as I said, it's really quite an important day. We've got manufacturing PMI and services PMI data coming in from Japan, from Australia, from the UK, from Europe, from the US. So all of those will be looked at particularly. We are expecting nothing too dramatic from them. Retail sales out of the UK add to a fairly busy day, and then of course later on we've got consumer sentiment coming out of the US as well, which is not likely to be particularly great. Although it is suggesting it hasn't worsened. So a busy couple of days, an important couple of days in terms of where markets may go next. But if we just check out what happened in a bit more detail, there's the so we did have an uptick in the Nasdaq. The Google did very well. Nvidia regained something. So it was Nvidia and Google that helped tech close in positive territory. But it's really after hours that the difference has been seen. If you check out here, you can see now the Nasdaq is up. Nasdaq futures up fairly close to its top at around about 1.72. S&P following suit. I'll have a look at a chart in a moment, but it looks as though there's a bounce there. Those European futures higher as well. A little bit of buying into oil, a little bit of buying into gold, a little bit of buying into copper. Despite USD strength overnight, but you can see that hasn't followed through in Asia today. Some buying in Bitcoin as well, back over 92. That's important that it holds that level. And a little bit of the Aussie dollar's doing well, as one would expect in a risk-on environment. Yen's looking a little weak today as well. It's interesting. And if we look at the actual scores on the door this morning, whoa, Nikkei's up about 100% in the last hour or so. Let's just see where Nvidia finished up. Yeah, there's that after hours trade. So it was up nearly 3% yesterday and up 5% in after hours trading. So, and of course, that's lagged other things up. If we look at AMD share price after the bell, as an example, you can see that's up 4.5% after a 3% drop during the regular session. So a little bit more buoyant. You can see that Trump has signed a bill to release the Epstein files. Republicans are pretty annoyed that it got through the Senate so quickly. Whether that's going to help or not, just counting down it remains to be seen. Of course, it depends on if it is and isn't actually released. Yeah. Right, that's a little whiz around what's going on. Let's have a look at some charts, shall we? The new food ingredient index, which is coming together. It's not a gauge. I am looking at that as well, but because what's going to happen is this line is going to go up and down here. At this stage, I wanted to get the graphics right, and that takes some doing. Just as a side issue, if you want to see the best gauge attempt, it's that. So, yeah, didn't like it. But I found some info that may well precipitate, but just as a sort of side issue, that's sort of interesting. Some of you who were on the next bar session earlier in the week. Yeah, Joe. Joe's absolutely right. Is absolutely Joe. Great to see you back here on GoToWebinar as well. Yeah, I don't think they're releasing the October number. It's just a September. The September number at this stage. Interesting to see when they're going to when they might do that. Right. Anyway, let's get back to the plot. So you can see there initial jobless claims for the federal employment. It's interesting. It's picked the initial jobless claims. So this is taking the data from MT5. Some housing data out as well out of the US. Whoa, MYX is having a good day at the office again. New farm exploding, LTR doing okay. We'll have a look at some ASX stocks in a moment. Right, on to the Nasdaq. Let's have a look at the hourly chart. And you can just sort of see there. I did sort of say that after in that last sort of this last hour that you see is after the equity market shut for the futures contract. So we've got the after that earnings release from Nvidia. We had that pop up or fall through in Asia today. Keep an eye on 25,250 as the potential next level. Maybe an opportunity here. Look at the hourly chart, sorry, the daily chart for context. You can see there that really nice. This is a really nice example of a pipe formation, actually, in terms of a reversal pattern. Thanks, Joe. Joe just posted a link. I'm just going to have a quick look at it if I can. Yeah, that's what we said. Full October jobs data won't be released. Available figures. There's some skullduggery going on here. Yeah. To be honest, we're only a week and a half away from, actually 2 weeks away from the October numbers, sorry, November numbers. It's saying here that the if you want to have a read of that, thanks Joe for posting that. I'll post that into chat so you can all have a look at it if you'd like to. Good call. Thank you. That's why you guys are great. Right. Okay. US dollar index, as I said. Hi, Roger. Good to see you, mate. You can see there the US dollar's benefited from that decreased likelihood from those Fed minutes, the decreased likelihood of a December rate cut follow through today. You can see there. Gold is surprisingly buoyant despite that. It did come down a little bit. If we look at what happened subsequent to Fed minutes, it did give up some bits gains from the early part of the day, but then stabilized. Big buying coming in again. Looks fairly uncertain as to where we are in terms of today, but obviously that data, if released, may have an impact. I like this as a line. It was the top of this week. It was action there, so keep an eye on 41. 41.28 for a potential move to test 4,200 again. But at this stage, yeah, being patient is good. See if we can break out of this range. Copper is range bound. Day yesterday, follow through today, but still really mid-range if you look at the bigger picture of things. Oil, the reverse is the case. I did talk about this yesterday, and that this is a downwards trend channel, albeit not very dramatic. But it is still, we are still seeing lower highs and lower lows. Bearish candle yesterday, so it looks as though it could come down and test these 4-year lows still. Well, 4-year lows now, nearly 5-year lows. Early 2021 was the last time it was down below this level here. And Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin. It looks as though there is some buying coming back in today. 1, 2, 3, 4 candles of test 90, 91. But that buying in today, I wonder if there's a general risk on vibe. This is a very risky trade if you choose to take it, unless you're in it for the long haul. But at least technically, 93,700 looks like a good level. About $1,300 in that if it does move to there. So let's see what it's giving me that. Obviously, I don't like it when those panels come. No, it seems to be stuck. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at some. There's the yen, the Aussie, sorry, the US yen. As I've already said, looking really strong. Now we're going to break out as we're speaking live on the 30-minute chart. You can see it's bimbled underneath that 157.20 level all morning. It was a good call actually yesterday to say that look, if we sort of met somewhere around here, didn't we? For inner circle and suggested that if we moved up, we could get it up to 157.30, and it's a really nice move, really quick move on the daily chart. There we go. There's that big candle yesterday. Follow through today. US yen looks like a great. That's going to be impossible to beat as a chart of the day, I would think. Last half an hour, that's breached. Let's have a look at the euro yen, if indeed it's going to let us do that. You can see there the euro yen is actually tackling a key level 2 at 181.30. Again, this last half an hour candle has pushed it through there. Trend continuation. So we got we're going to sort of pull back here, that retracement there, buying towards the beginning of the US session after those. The Japan after the yen dropped. Sideways range really since Asian Open, but looks as though we have a breach. If you like your OBRs, it's a good example of that. There's the open bar range. We're looking for a move outside of that range, which should probably actually just put us up a little bit higher than this if you want to be pedantic. So yes, that's a really good example of that. Didn't breach it there, didn't breach it there, and looks as though it's about to give a crack. So again, that could be interesting. We've got some Aussie dollar strength, of course, today, which I've already referenced. So it's worthwhile checking out the Aussie yen, and you can see there on the hourly chart yet another yen cross, which looks like a entry. Actually, look like an entry in the last minutes of the last hour of the US session. We've had follow through today, very strong on the AUD yen, and you can see on the daily chart that looks very good. Let's just move that stuff up. So burst through multi-time frame entry perhaps on this. So any yen cross is looking good. I think there'll be some profit taken on the euro on the USD yen. I'm not sure there'll be much profit taking goes on until there may be pre that jobs number tonight, just to take some risk off, because obviously it's had a really good run over the last 24 hours. Arguably over the last sort of really over the last few days. This week has been a good week for the USD yen. So yeah, look, I mean that's 270 pips. You've got to think that some money might come off the table before that jump support tonight. I mean, it looks as though it's there for the taking, doesn't it? But that I think is reasonable. I did point out the Aussie Kiwi as an interesting place yesterday. If you look at the daily chart, this level here at 115.75 looks important. Look at the hourly chart, still a little ways to go before we get there, but it does look again as though there's sufficient buy-in to push us up those 13 to 14 pips to actually test that level. So that's also just a side interest. So look, it's difficult to plant your flag, but at this stage, yen crosses look good. It's an interesting point that Joe's raised in terms of US yen. If you're in for it, want to be bothered less by jobs data or a significant profit take, then maybe the euro or the Aussie might be a slightly less volatile bet. But in either case, I'd probably be ripping, at least if you are in any of those, I'd probably ripping some off before that jobs data tonight. Good call. Right. Okay. Let's just check out the GB pound, the Kiwi. Yeah, we had that drop in the GB pound. Really nice bounce on the GB pound, actually. I'm not that interested. JP 10-year yield, strong breakout applications. Generally speaking, a rise in yield is good for the line currency. It's high, isn't it? Interesting. I'll do a bit more digging on that and maybe report back on it in a bit more detail on Monday. The Japanese economy isn't something that I keep a particularly close eye on, but that's a great point. Maybe I need to just do a little bit of a deeper dive and just get up to speed on the nuances that are resulting in treasury yields going up, kind of going up, the yen under pressure. Okay, cool. Thank you. Just those of you on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind clicking a like, if you're there, if you're watching on catch up, again, if this is useful, then let us know and make thumbs up. Right, let's pop onto the ASX and have a look around some of the stocks we've been watching. Here's a LYC we talked about. This I've reached this level yesterday, followed through today, just coming off the highs a little bit. AAC, which I've got to say was huge pick on the back of beef tariffs being relaxed a little bit in the US. So that breach of the 200 MA, I expected this to be slightly more restrained, but it's actually done really well in terms of not only breaching the 200 MA, but breaching the key level I thought might be important to 144, that might take us up to 152. That's the next level of interest. So possibly too late to get into this if you're not in it already from a fundamental point of view, but certainly opportunity if it starts to get anywhere near this level here. A good call from you. Liontown going very well again. We had that sort of failure really to sort of push through this level here. It tested it a couple of times, or 5 times actually in the last 5 days, but failed to close over 148. We said 150 was interesting. Follow through today. Be interested to see where this candle ends up, particularly in light of the fact that that day was a down after starting up. This day was hardly made a convincing case. Zero, I've not at zero for an eternity. It's been in downtrend since May. Just put this on a weekly chart for context. So very, very much, it's been absolutely clattered. Has breached support level after support level. It does appear to maybe this is enough. Way, way too early to consider it, of course. But just keep an eye. It's sort of interesting. And as I said, one that I haven't watched for ages. Main boom over the 200 MA, not actually following through today. Blocking XYZ. Got ASX. This used to be after play, didn't it? And then turned into I get the ticker. Now we're at XYZ. Nice bounce today. Potential gap to fill here. Zip also doing well, I note. New Farm had a big jump. That looks like maybe we've had 2 days of this now. If we just check out what's going on with New Farm. Come on. I'm going to just a little bit. 6 holding on to that. Yeah, it's exit. Highs of the day again. Let's just get a sector split. Materials obviously doing okay. Text obviously going to be the outperformer. It'll be boys leading the way. Let me just get a drink, sorry. So they did their results yesterday, and there's been follow through from that. So that's what's happening with New Farm and why they're so buoyant. Some buying coming back into uranium stocks. Do note, we did talk about this yesterday. That's actually not a bad move on DPL, but I think it's still off where I would be interested. We were around about that 184 level. TNE, not surprisingly, doing well on the back of good tech, and it needs to after that. Fairly major capitulation it's had over the last month or so. And Zip. Again, a lot of these stocks are just bouncing because they've had such a ridiculously bad time. That's a That's an awful drop. Now, if LYC are doing well, then you expect Luca to be doing so as well. I've said before, $7 looks like a key level in the short term. 730 looks like a high probability entry on that. I just want to make a pour, having some recovery as well. Again, we're coming off a really low point. Aussie tech has just been melted. And lithium stocks got just continue their follow through. There's a good move on PLS. Might just get stuck in here at this stage. So lithium, LTR might be a good alternative. Bouncing Vulcan Energy, but not yet. We may see that move back up towards $7. And 360 RSX, another one that's been belted, but showing green shoots of reversal. Just worth keeping an eye on. But look, my two charts of the day, I think have got to be LYC, but I'll probably wait now until we reach 17. And LTR looks great. See where that is towards the back end of the session. But just bear in mind that this is a relatively high risk sort of 24, 48 hours that we're coming into. Later tonight will be interesting. Right, a couple of US stocks to have a look at. We've been banging on about this stock for a little while now. Since it did this. This is the ETF REMX that looks after rare earths and metals. So anything good AI is good for this stock really because of its applications. We're now at a level which I think probably would have been the target if you got in here, or maybe even here at 66. But I think this is a potential strong medium-term hold as well. But you'd need to see it over kind of 73, 65, and then potentially an export of call. Obviously, those highs at 80. That's a really nice retracement bounce. Just the question is, has it got some more legs? Yeah, DRO belted. Yeah, all of the it's been a really odd ASX for sure. The Light or LITE was another one that we highlighted yesterday that had another good day at the office of Sedgwick's 259. It continued upwards, doing really well. And of course, we've got to have a look at Nvidia. There's the bounce. Interestingly, after hours trading, or extended hours trading today, has not reflected the move yesterday. That's odd. I thought that was better than that. Anyway, whichever way you slice it, Nvidia is looking great for a move back up to 206. And MU, another one we saw, thought, oh, maybe dropped off, but have we found a support level back up towards 250, possibly? So I still like REMX, I do. And then the other one we looked at yesterday was Delta Airlines, wasn't it? We'll check out AMD on the way past, or CCL. CCL look as though they're bouncing, but still in this downward trend. I'll be patient for a move until it reaches 27.43. AMD could have found a support, but probably too early on AMD. Anyway, let's have a look at Delta. Down yesterday, interestingly. I did like Delta for a potential bounce off this 200 MA, but you can see there it didn't do so well yesterday. But I think there's a potential for a move back up to 63. Yeah. And just watch retailers in the US as well. Of course, some of those are reporting. Right. Anyway, there we go. That's the story for today and a little more leisurely fashion than would normally do. Um, and have a great rest of your Thursday. I will see some of you AI guys tonight. Not AI, EA guys tonight, and your your AI and trading guys tomorrow night. P6 it is tonight. I'm sorry. You guys take care, trade safe. As I said, just remember that there is a element of risk sort of involved in being in markets with any significant exposure over the next while. So thank you very much um, for you guys in YouTube. We'll see you again very soon. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Wayne. We just finish this off. You guys take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.